Okay, so thank you very much. I'm here to say thank you for attending this show. Baldor is a food service distributor that started in its roots in a retail store called Balducci's. If you don't know the store, it was an iconic store, and chefs 27 years ago were coming to the store asking Andy and Nina, his sister. Louis Balducci founded the store. He had 3 children. One didn't go into business. Andy and Grace, his 2 other children, did. They were running the store, and chefs were coming asking, where can we find this item? Our distributors don't have this item. And they had sourced products from all over the world to this one location. So they had a brainstorm. They said, wow, this is a great startup. We have access to capital. We have access to customers. We have access to product, human resources, attorneys. Let's create a new company distributing to restaurants. And Grace had married a gentleman by the name of Dom Doria, so she became Grace Balducci Doria. So the 2 families, Balducci Doria, created a new company called Baldor, and it was nearly a freaking disaster in a month. Food service distributing and cash sales at a register in a store are 2 different worlds. I don't know about you, but I don't bring much back to the grocery store, so that sale's final. In the food service world, you're getting paid in 30 days, maybe they're going to clip the bill, maybe they want to send back a half a tomato, maybe the restaurant's closed when you go to get paid, so there's some inherent challenges. So Kevin Murphy had married Andy's daughter. He said to his father-in-law, give me the van, give me the name, and let me see what I could do. That was 25 years ago. I joined the company almost 20 years ago. You heard my culinary background, and I joined the company to change a career path. And Kevin and I were cut from completely different cloths, but we learned how to dance well. He was really on the purchasing side, the sourcing side, trying to drive cost out of the equation, making it transparent. He was very, very IT savvy. Back then, produce invoices would look like doctor's prescriptions. You could add them up and get 4 different totals every time. Your interpretation of what that number was, and he demanded, invoices printed by a computer. If we quoted 10, we go to bill 10, and he was the driving force. I, coming from the back of the house, understood what to do with the ingredients. I threw more salespeople out of my kitchen, so intimidating me when I walked into yours wasn't going to happen, but I also could take the fear out of a product. When we launched Crohn's, many chefs didn't know how to spell it, let alone what to do with it. So you have to deliver that message gingerly in New York, because we got some egos in this town, of what to do and how to use it. So we grew the company. I joined, we were in a 12,000 square foot facility, then moved to a 35,000 square foot facility, then moved to a 130,000 square foot facility in 1999. So for those that are too young to know, the country was in a little bit of a recession. We're taking on this major debt, and we were very nervous. 2 years later, 9/11 happens in this town, and we had to survive and get through that. 7 years ago, I moved into a building owned by the city of New York. It was the old A&P distribution center. It was a 21% footprint larger, but 3 times cubic capacity because we added height. And then we opened in Boston and recently in DC. People ask a lot of times what's led to Baldor's success in 25 years, from a van to approximately 1,400 employees. This morning we ran 265 refrigerated trucks in the metro area. We moved 67,582 packages. That's a lot of packages. We turn our entire inventory approximately 3.5 times a week. That's a big turn. So when people ask, I have a pat answer. It's quality. We're very service-centric and at competitive prices. And I was recently at a United Fresh. I sit on the board of directors at United Fresh. It's a produce association across the country that deals with growers, shippers, and transportation, and food service distributors, retailers, and food safety alike. And somebody came up and asked me the question. I told them the pat answer, and they said, bullshit. I'm a 100-year-old company. I've been doing that same thing, and I still have 2 vans. You got to be doing something different. So maybe come back and really reflect on it, and I think today I'm comfortable in saying it's not just Baldor's ability to look down the street, but to look around the corner and just anticipate what our needs are. This coming January, Kevin's death will be 3-year anniversary, and I started a project 2 years before he passed away on expanding our building. It's a vacant lot of contaminated dirt next to us. We're on a 15-acre site, and this lot has 10 acres. Now, you don't often find 10 acres in the city of New York that you could develop on. It happens to be adjacent to your 15. Kevin said, "You're crazy, Spike." He called me Spike because sometimes my personality could rise. He said, "Spike, no, we don't need this. Stop. We don't need it." And he was right. 5 years ago, we didn't need it. It was 2 years before his passing. So I knew that negotiating with the city of New York, glaciers melt faster, okay? So this was going to be a time to take to get this done, and I'm proud to say we just signed the lease about 4 months ago. So that makes us 25 acres. We're the second largest employer in the Bronx that's not in the medical profession, second to the New York Yankees. So that's a pretty big, bold statement. We just broke ground. We're going to add 100,000 square feet to a 172,000 square foot facility. So we're creating jobs and changing people's stars. The story of Baldor is not much different than the story of this show. I remember getting a call from a produce business saying, "We got a crazy idea about bringing a show to New York. A, would you sponsor? B, would you participate? C, can we get your ass on a panel?" So I said no to the panel the first year, but I said I'm in on sporting it any way we can. And this show has just grown. Very similar to Baldor's history, and with their ability to look around the corner and anticipate what you need, what you require, not just booths and a show, but the educational part of it behind the story. I think we didn't talk today, and I don't know if there is a panel about child obesity, and that starts with fruits and vegetables in K to 12. Nobody is born liking Coca-Cola, but I can assure you we all love it today, and that's because we've been introduced to it and marketed it on a mass media. How does a kid learn to eat any kind of fruit or a vegetable, understand what a smoked beet is or a yellow watermelon? We have to introduce it in many parts of the inner cities, especially in New York. It's in the public school system. So the largest single purchase order in America for produce is the United States military. The second largest single purchase for produce is the New York City public school system. And I'm a fighter in it. I don't deliver it. I marched on Washington for it. I believe these children are underserved, and I demand that we help change that. And it starts with educating them on eating more fruits and vegetables in their diet. So thank you for participating in this ideation of Fresh. Thank you for joining us at the New York Produce Show. It's a fantastic venue, and the sky's the limit. Thank you for your attention.